It's crunch time for Zimbabwe as its cash crisis worsens and nationwide strikes bring services to a halt. Falling commodity prices continue to hit hard the Democratic Republic of Congo as thousands more miners lose their jobs. And up and away, a new report says more and more Africans are taking to the skies. Hello and welcome to Business Africa. I'm Takumbo Salako. We begin this week's show by revisiting Zimbabwe, whose economy has been spiralling fast out of control. A few months ago, we reported how it started printing its own version of the dollar to combat record hyperinflation and stem its cash flow crisis, the roots of which stretch back to President Robert Mugabe's controversial land reform program, which led to the seizure of white-owned farms. It owes some $3 billion to international lenders and hasn't been able to pay its civil servants, sparking fears of unrest with protests growing across the country. Elayne Wangalwa and Ruth Lago report.
Zimbabwe is on the verge of collapse as the country's economic hardship hits new lows. The Southern African nation has been gripped by a devastating drought and an acute shortage of cash that has angered its citizens. The country's dire economic situation has led Zimbabweans to embark on rare street protests against the administration of veteran leader Robert Mugabe. Recently, the Southern African country experienced a nationwide strike as city centers across the country were reported to be on a shutdown. The strike has been fronted by a social media movement using the hashtag #ThisFlag to unite against rampant and runaway corruption by the government.
This government will ignore the citizens at their own peril. And people have said, well, this is not going to have any impact. This is a government that doesn't respect things like that. The one thing that you have to understand that this is doing is that it is uniting the citizens. It's bringing the citizens into one unit. For the first time in a very long time, we're doing something together.
Earlier in the week, civil workers went on strike demanding for their unpaid salaries due to a chronic cash shortage. In response, Robert Mugabe said the delay in paying the wages is a minor setback and that it does not justify for their strike.
This is a temporary setback, so to doctors, nurses and teachers, there is no need to go on strike. We will pay you. Please bear with us as we pay you sector by sector. The government has so many obligations, but we will pay you.
In spite of Mugabe's remarks, strike organizers have said they plan to continue their action until Mugabe's regime falls. The veteran leader recently warned of a plot to overthrow his ruling party.
The Zimbabwe Republic Police would like to warn all those who are inciting, instigating and engaging in violence that such misconduct will be severely dealt with. The ZRP is quite aware that there are some criminal elements who have been for a long time planning for a social unrest.
And as the country's trade deficit also widens, it rose to $3.3 billion in 2015 from $400 million a decade ago. There is little relief in sight for ordinary Zimbabweans.
Our next story considers the mining fortunes of the Democratic Republic of Congo, where it's fair to say the bottom has fallen out of the industry due to the collapse of commodity prices. Thousands of people have lost their jobs and have been plunged into poverty, piling increasing pressure on President Joseph Kabila, who's bound by the constitution to step down in November's election. Michael Dibi and William Bahia have more.
The Democratic Republic of Congo has already shed thousands of mining jobs this year after commodity prices tumbled. Last month, the country's Chamber of Mines announced that the mining sector lost at least 3,000 direct and 10,000 subcontractor jobs since commodity began to tumble last year. These workers at the former industrial open site in Kolwezi are part of tens of thousands of miners who work in the mostly unregulated artisanal mining sector. We go to the market with a sack full of minerals, which weighs between 150 kilograms and 160 kilograms. But when we try to sell to the Chinese, they weigh it at 60 kilograms. The government scaled its 2015 growth estimate to 7.7% from more than 10% because of low metal prices. It expects growth to rebound to 9% this year, while the IMF predicts a 7.3% growth. There's a lot of talk about the abundance of natural resources, but the reality is that people here live in poverty, so you have to wonder who benefits from all this profit and where do they get these profits from.
Pour d'autres pays, pour d'autres continents, ce n'est pas juste. Nous nous battons pour établir la justice.
Analysts warn that the mining sector could strike another blow as presidential elections set for November is likely to be delayed, and opponents of President Joseph Kabila had vowed to protest if he does not honor the constitution by stepping down at the end of the year.
More and more people are taking to the skies in Africa and to Africa, according to new figures. Passenger numbers have leapt up by nearly 10% year on year, and capacity on African airlines has also grown, along with an expansion of long-haul carriers. However, the Brexit vote is expected to clip a few wings and see numbers fall in the future. Jean-David Mihamle and Kenneth Karuri have more.
African Airlines recorded the second highest passenger traffic growth in May, the latest International Air Transport Association IATA data shows. According to the aviation body, African Airlines recorded an increase in traffic up 9.5% compared to a year ago. The average growth in passenger traffic worldwide stood at 4.3%. A statement by IATA says capacity in the continent rose 10.4%, though load factor slipped 0.5 percentage points to 64.5%. The aviation body noted that Middle East still remained the most popular destination in the airline industry, with a growth of 11% in May, well ahead of Latin America, which recorded an increase of 5%. The strong growth in the continent is linked to the expansion of long-haul networks by the region's carriers, particularly Ethiopian Airlines, IATA noted. Ethiopian Airlines recently took delivery of Africa's first wide-bodied Airbus, A350-900. It has already ordered 13 more from the French-based company to modernize its fleet of 77 aircraft that will enable it to fly directly to cities in Asia as well as North America. Europe was, however, reeling from the recent Brussels and Istanbul bombings, uncertainties caused by Brexit, and the fragility of the global economy. IATA warned that the shockwaves of the Brexit vote had extended worldwide, and the fallout will affect the air transport industry. The body, however, noted that aviation will continue to play a key role in supporting economic growth.
That's all we have time for on this week's show. Please share your views and news on our social websites, and don't forget, there's always more business on Africanews.com. Thanks for watching and see you next week.